your operation meets the regulatory requirements. Contact us to help prepare your farm today. Request your free visit at www.fdacs.gov/OFRR. That's www.fdacs.gov/OFRR.
Here's farmer and businessman James Wood.
We farm about 3,500 acres. There's pipelines everywhere. The contractor working on my property did not have the lines located before he began work, and it resulted on a strike on a natural gas pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Farming is one of the most challenging ways to make a living and can take a toll on farmers and everyone close to them. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Jessica Cabrera, American Farm Bureau Managing Director of Member Engagement, says both the Farm Bureau and many of their strategic partners have resources available to help those struggling to cope with the challenges of farming.
American Farm Bureau offers a number of resources, including a national resource directory where folks can find all sorts of information that are available in every state and Puerto Rico all across the country. These are hotlines, counseling services, as well as other support materials and informational resources.
She says it's incredibly important that farmers realize they don't have to fight through mental health challenges on their own. For resources for mental health, go to farmstateofmind.org. I'm Sabrina Halverson for the Southeast AgNet.
April showers bring May flowers and unbeatable lawn and garden prices at Rural King. Like this bad boy 54-inch zero-turn mower for just under $4,000 cash. Or this DeWalt 25-foot extension cord, just $24.98. Or assorted mulch, starting at $1.99 a bag. Shop now at RuralKing.com or your neighborhood Rural King, America's farm and home store.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Lots of sunshine and blue skies expected today as high temperatures range into the mid to upper 80s, and then we'll see a clear sky overnight dropping into the low to mid 60s. On Thursday, we're expecting increasing cloudiness leading to isolated rain showers, highs in the low to mid 80s, and then thunderstorms are expected to finish off our work week with high temps in the mid to upper 80s. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm staff meteorologist Jeff Nordine.
This hour of Ocala Talks is brought to you in part by Blockers Furniture. Go see all their specials at blockersfurniture.com.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks on a Wednesday, hour number 3 of the show. Joining us now graciously as he's on the road, so he's on his Bluetooth talking to us, is Councilman Jay Musleh of the Ocala City Council. Councilman Musleh, good morning to you.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Good. Yesterday, more than 250 people showed up to a hearing looking for answers about the $80 million fire fee issue. The courtroom was packed. You were one of the people in the courtroom. Did you feel that the judge, Circuit Court Judge Robert Hodges, did you feel that he answered some much-needed questions that both sides had?
Yeah. Judge Hodges did a good job of allowing people to come up and ask questions. There were even a couple of Spanish-speaking people, and he got a translator there, to translate. So, I mean, the biggest questions were: how do people get the refund? What do they need to do? And then other questions were. Maybe they lived in the house, paid the electricity bill, but it was in the name of a parent or guardian or a friend. How those type things would be addressed.
Now, some lawyers representing the city when one of the people's big concerns is when we're going to see a check. When are we going to see the money? The city's timetable is, and I know you're still working out the details and all, but the city's timetable, according to what I saw, was within 60 to 90 days.
I think it's more within 60 days, Tom.
So it'll be more within 60 days. And just go to ocalafl.org. There's details there. Once everything's worked out, all the details will be there. Do you think it was you think it's better to do as they're saying it's going to be a lump sum payment instead of an overtime payment?
Well, an overtime payment requires, maintenance and all those things that come into play. The actual order from the 5th District Court was a refund of the illegal tax collected. So that's what we're doing with the complete refund.
How big of a question was it by the people in the room that out of the fund, the $80 million fund, that the plaintiffs' lawyers get their fees out of that fund?
That came up, more than once, quite a few times actually. The judges and the lawyers were very patiently explaining, how that typically works in a lawsuit such as this, and the response generally was this is typical.
Yeah, well, they kept saying, I saw on the news last night, the plaintiff's lawyer kept saying, look, we didn't make any money while we were doing this. If we'd have lost, we wouldn't have got paid. And I'm thinking that's a hollow way to say that you deserve $6.5 million. Did you get that was the general feel of most of the people in the room that were represented, by the way, by these lawyers that are getting the $6.5 million?
Yeah. I mean, I think most of the people in the room really didn't grasp, I guess the risk that the plaintiff's lawyer took. What's still mind-boggling to me, Tom, is the plaintiff's lawyer was also suing the plaintiffs as well, because the city of Ocala is the citizens of the city of Ocala who are getting a refund paid by the city of Ocala, which is its citizens, and the lawyer fee, even though it's coming out of the plaintiff's money, is really the citizens' money. So, listen, I'm not going to debate it anymore whether it's an illegal tax or not. The 5th DCA ruled it was an illegal tax, so therefore, under the Florida Constitution, it had to be completely refunded. That's what we did. We did appear that a final order, once it's issued, will contain language that unclaimed funds, once a second round of payments go out, would go back to the city. So, for instance, if there's sufficient unclaimed funds, of which most of us anticipate there will be, people who get a refund will be entitled to apply for a second refund that would basically refund their attorney's fees. And then any funds left after that, instead of being transferred to the state, which is out of the control of the citizens of Ocala, those funds would stay with the general fund of the city of Ocala and would be available to pay down the debt that we're having to incur to handle this refund.
How big an issue was that in the negotiations, that to keep the money that was left over? Because I know a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people about this. I know there's some sentiment out there from citizens of Ocala that, yes, okay, without debating whether it was unconstitutional or not or what, yes, okay, it was an illegal tax. The court system said so. Yes, by the Constitution, they're supposed to refund the money. But we got the services provided. If we'd have had a fire or something, a fire truck would have shown up, first responders would have shown up. I know there's a large group of people that are like, so we're not even going to try to, even though we're due that money, we're not going to collect that money because we got the services. It's our money anyway. We'd just be taking money from ourselves. So we're going to refuse the money. And they were very concerned that if they did refuse the money, would it stay in the fund of the city, or would it then be given to the state to distribute over 67 counties wide. How important was it for the council and for the city to make sure that money stayed in the place in Ocala for its citizens to use?
That was very important, Tom. Extremely important. We did not want the funds going to the state. I mean, it's not the state's money. It's the citizens of Ocala's money. It needs to stay here. If you choose not to file a claim or not to cash a check if one is sent to you, then you can be assured that those funds will stay in the general fund of the city of Ocala.
Now, I don't understand the reasoning behind this, but you as a city councilman will be able to help us out with this. $60 million of the $80 million is coming as a form of a bank loan that the city is going to have to pay back. $20 million is coming out of the general fund reserves. Why was such a large amount having to be done through a loan process?
Well, because we had paid for the services that were rendered over the past 15 years, really. The fire user fee paid for approximately 52% of the expenses to run the fire department. So it's not like we were collecting the user fee and setting it aside for some type of reserve. No, we were collecting the user fee and spending it on providing fire services. So therefore, at the end of the time when it was declared illegal and we stopped it, we instituted the fire assessment fee, which is a legal mechanism of collecting part of the fees to run the fire department. But all it does is collect the amount that we were previously collecting on a annual basis. So the hole that we were in was the amount of money that had been expended over the last, say, 12 years of the fire user fee.
So, like some of the citizens that I talked about have said, the city paid for those services to be rendered, and so that money, even though it may have been, according to the Florida Constitution, an illegal tax, the judge decided, it was still used to pay for that coverage. That's the stumbling block for me, is the money was spent. It wasn't like that, you guys went on trips to Vegas or anything with the money. It was actually spent on what it was designed to be spent on. Maybe I'm missing something here. Am I missing the practicality here?
Well, I mean, I think you think along the same lines that I do, that it was used for the purpose intended, but it was an illegal tax. I always thought that we'd be afforded the right of set-off. In other words, what we spent, we would not have to refund. The courts disagreed with that. At the end of the day, the judges they enforced the laws, and therefore the 5th DCA ordered a complete refund.
There's been a lot said about, this amount of money, $80 million. It's going to put the city in dire financial need. There's going to be, you don't know the ramifications down the road of how this money being spent, having to be paid back and all is going to affect the operations of the city. It's, things are going to suffer. Is there any validity to any of that claim?
Tom, I don't want to alarm anybody that all of a sudden your lights are going to start flickering, or the water's not going to come out of the spigot when you turn it on, or we're not going to be repaving roads. No, I don't think it's that. But I don't think anybody knows the ramifications. We're asking our children and our children's children to repay this money. The $80 million or $78 million, however much it is, will be an economic stimulus, I guess, for the city of Ocala residents, but it's going to be paid for on the backs of our children and our children's children. Whether we have to raise taxes in the future or not to handle the debt service on this it remains to be seen. Right now, we've not formulated our budget for next year. We'll have those budget hearings starting in June. So, we'll have to remain to be seen. But make no mistake about it, it's a big deal. It's a big judgment. It's a big amount of money. But the city of Ocala was on sound financial footing before, and we will find a way to continue to stay on sound financial footing.
You know, I don't envy you men and women of the council a bit at pauper's pay, the decisions you have to make over budgetary items and all to make sure that we have a good quality of life in the best city in the state of Florida, Ocala, Florida. I wouldn't want your job, Councilman Musleh. I wouldn't want either of your jobs, to be honest with you. That's way too much for my brain to handle. But I really wouldn't want to be a councilman. Thanks for all you've done for the city. Thanks for coming on with us this morning and talking about this subject. And we'll talk to you again down the road.
Okay, thanks, Tom. You have a nice day.
Thank you. You as well. Councilman Jay Musleh was nice enough to come on and talk with us. He was in the courtroom yesterday during the proceedings that answered some questions about the fire fees distribution. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back after this timeout. You're listening to Ocala Talks, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
You know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Join Gary and Don Crawford of Pinnacle Retirement Advisors for Retirement with Pinnacle, Saturday mornings at 9 to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Don't miss Retirement with Pinnacle with Gary and Don Crawford, Saturday mornings at 9. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
How does Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens and Nursery celebrate 70 years? Well, you've got to see for yourself to believe it. They're pulling out all the stops with 5.5 acres of never-before super values. Check out the ad. They emphasize sevens as is 70 years. Your favorites like Juniper, $7. Podocarpus, $7. African Iris, 2 for $7. Gerber Daisy, 2 for $7. And wow, check out the BOGOs. Buy one, get one free. Butterfly bush, porterweed, hibiscus, agapanthus, salvia, Mexican firebush, many more, all on BOGO for Bob Wine's Gala 70th anniversary celebration. Folks, that's just a sample of the savings. Check the ad for more at bobwinescamelliagardens.net. But be there early for the best selection. Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens, Southeast 38th Street, Ocala, daily till 4:30, Saturdays till 3, keeping you in bloom for 70 years.
Started in